I joked to my husband, maybe I'll meet someone better tonight, before heading out for girls' night. When I came home, the locks were changed and the man I thought I knew had already started building a life without me. I'm Jada, 27, and I've been with Connor for 5 years, married for 3. He used to laugh at my sarcastic comments, but lately, everything I say seems to set him off. That night changed everything between us, and I'm still trying to figure out how a stupid little joke spiraled into the mess we're in now. I spent almost 2 hours getting ready that Friday night. New outfit, full makeup, hair curled perfectly, the works. When I walked into our living room, Connor looked up from his workbench, where he was sketching designs for a custom dining table. His eyebrows shot up immediately. "Wow, you look really dressed up for just hanging out with Tiffany and Rachel," he said, setting down his pencil. I did a little twirl, feeling pretty good about myself. "Thanks. I wanted to feel nice for once. Been a while since I put in this much effort." The look on his face changed. I couldn't quite read it. "You never dress up like that when we go out." I rolled my eyes. "Because we go to the same 3 restaurants, and you're always in a rush to get home to work on your projects." Between us, I was thinking how pathetic our date nights had become compared to my friends' Instagram-worthy evenings with their husbands. Connor stood up, crossing his arms. "So you're putting in all this effort for your friends but not for me?" That's when I should have just explained that I needed a confidence boost or something. Instead, I laughed and said, "Well, you never know. Maybe I'll meet someone better tonight." The second those words left my mouth, I saw something harden in his expression. He didn't yell, didn't even raise his voice. He just looked at me with this coldness I'd never seen before. "That's not funny, Jada. Not even a little bit." I huffed and grabbed my purse. "Oh my God, it was just a joke. When did you become so sensitive? You need to lighten up." "Is it, though, a joke?" he asked quietly. "Because lately, it feels like you're always looking for reasons to be disappointed in me." "Now you're being dramatic," I said, checking the time on my phone. "I gotta go. The girls are waiting." He didn't say goodbye. I didn't think much of it. We'd had little spats before. I figured he'd cool off by the time I got home. Girls' night was at this new cocktail place downtown. Perfect lighting, fancy drinks, the kind of spot where people accidentally take photos for social media. Tiffany was already there with her perfect hair and the designer bag her husband bought her for their anniversary. Between us, I can't stand how she always has to one-up everyone else's relationships. "Oh my God, you look amazing," she squealed when I arrived. I couldn't help but notice her quick up and down assessment of my outfit. Total frenemy behavior. "Thanks," I said, sliding into the booth. I needed this night out. Connor's been in one of his moods lately. Rachel joined us a few minutes later. "Sorry I'm late." Mark wouldn't stop asking questions about where we were going. I rolled my eyes. Connor was weird about me dressing up, too. What, we can't look nice without it being for some guy. But the truth was, I did enjoy the looks I got from guys at the bar. One in particular kept glancing over, and I didn't exactly discourage it. I would never cheat on Connor, but there's nothing wrong with a little harmless flirtation, right? It feels good to be desired, especially when your husband spends more time with wood and power tools than with you. After a few drinks, Rachel started venting about Mark's family. His mom called me yesterday asking why we haven't had kids yet. Like it's any of her business. "At least Mark has a real career," I said without thinking. "Connor's still trying to make his furniture business work. Do you know what Megan's husband got her for their anniversary? A trip to Cabo. You know what Connor got me? A handmade jewelry box. Like, thanks for the reminder that we can't afford real gifts." When I got home around 1 a.m., my key wouldn't work in the door. I tried again, thinking I was just too tipsy to get it right. Nothing. I knocked softly at first, then harder. "Connor, can you open the door? My key isn't working." Silence. I called his phone. Straight to voicemail. I texted. No response. That's when I noticed the small lockbox mounted by the door, the kind realtors use. I'd never seen it before. There was a note taped to it with a simple code written on it. I punched in the numbers, and inside was my house key. He had changed the locks and left me a way in, but made sure I knew I wasn't welcome. When I finally got inside, the house was dark. Connor's side of the closet was half empty. A note on the kitchen counter simply said, "Staying at a hotel. We need to talk about what you really want." I stood there stunned, still in my going out clothes, makeup slightly smudged, holding the note in my shaking hand. How did a stupid joke turn into this, and why did I have this sinking feeling that it wasn't just about the joke at all? I spent the night alternating between angry texts and desperate voicemails. First, I was furious. Who changes the locks on their wife? Then I was pleading. "Baby, please come home. We need to talk." By morning, with no response, I was seething. I pulled out my emergency cash stash from behind the bathroom vent, $600 that Connor had no idea about, and booked myself a spa day. If he wanted to act childish, I could play that game too. When he finally responded Sunday night, his text was infuriatingly calm. "I'll be home tomorrow after work. We need to talk." Talk about what? A stupid joke that he blew completely out of proportion? I spent the day cleaning obsessively, rehearsing all the ways I'd make him see how ridiculous he was being. By the time he walked through the door Monday evening, I had worked myself into a perfect storm of righteous indignation. "So you're back," I said, arms crossed, watching him set down his bag by the door. He looked different somehow, shoulders straighter, expression unreadable. "We need to talk about what happened," he said, not moving toward me for a hug or kiss like he normally would after time apart. "What happened is you lost your mind over a joke and locked me out of my own house," I snapped. "Do you know how embarrassing that was? What if someone had seen me?" Connor's jaw tightened. "A joke, is that really what you think it was? Obviously? God, when did you become so sensitive?" "It wasn't the joke, Jada. It was what it revealed." He sat down on the edge of the couch, keeping distance between us. "I've been thinking a lot about us lately. About how you talk about me to your friends, how you compare me to their husbands." My stomach dropped. How could he possibly know about that? Unless, have you been checking my phone, going through my messages? The thought that he'd invaded my privacy made my blood boil. "I don't need to. Rachel's husband Mark told me everything." He looked up at me, his eyes cold. "Apparently, you've been quite vocal about how disappointed you are in me and my fake career, about how you deserve better." I felt my face flush. That's Mark misunderstood. I was just venting. Everyone complains about their spouse sometimes. Do they joke about finding someone better while dressed up for a night out? Do they post photos deliberately showing other men checking them out? Wait, seen that? I thought I'd blocked him from my stories. "You were overreacting," I said, but my voice lacked conviction. "It was just a stupid night out. I was letting off steam." "This isn't just about Friday night. It's about a pattern, Jada. You've been undermining me for months, making little comments about my work, comparing our life to your friends, acting like I came home, the locks were changed, and the man I thought I knew had already started building a life without me. I'm holding you back. I got a call last week," he continued, his voice steady. "From a design firm in Seattle. They want to bring me on as lead furniture designer. It would mean moving, but it's the opportunity I've been working toward for years." My mouth went dry. "Seattle? You can't be serious. My entire life is here, my job, my friends. You can't expect me to just uproot everything." I told him I needed time to think about it, to talk to my wife. His emphasis on the last word felt like an accusation. But after Friday, I realized something. "You don't see a future with me, do you?" "Not really. I'm just the placeholder until someone better comes along." "That's not fair," I said, tears springing to my eyes. I could feel this conversation slipping away from me, my usual tactics of deflection and emotional displays having no effect. "You're twisting everything." "Am I? Because from where I'm standing, it seems pretty clear. You're embarrassed by me, by what I do, by what we have together." "No," I whispered. But even to my own ears, it sounded hollow. "I love what I do, Jada. I'm good at it. And I thought you were proud of me. But lately, all I hear is how I don't measure up to your friends' husbands. How what I make isn't good enough. How I'm not good enough. I'm staying in the guest room tonight. I need some space to think about what I want. Maybe you should do the same." But he didn't come around. The next morning, Connor was gone before I woke up. No note. No text. Just empty space where he should have been. I stormed into my supervisor's office, claiming a family emergency, and left early. My plan was simple. I'd go to his workshop, force him to talk to me, make him see reason. We couldn't just leave things hanging like this. He didn't get to walk away from me. When I pulled up to the converted warehouse space he rented with 2 other craftsmen, I spotted his truck in the parking lot. Good. No running away this time. I checked my reflection in the rearview mirror, dabbed on some lip gloss, and straightened my blouse. You catch more flies with honey, after all. The workshop was filled with the familiar scent of sawdust and varnish. One of Connor's workshop partners, Dave, looked up in surprise when I walked in. "Jada, Connor's not here." "His truck's outside," I said, glancing around at the half-finished pieces scattered throughout the space. "Yeah, but he left about an hour ago with Elise. Something about meeting clients for a custom piece." Elise? The name hit me like a slap. She was the interior designer who occasionally collaborated with Connor on projects for high-end clients. Tall, effortlessly elegant Elise, with her perfect taste and irritating habit of touching Connor's arm when she laughed at his jokes. "Where did they go?" I demanded, hearing the edge in my voice. Dave looked uncomfortable. "I don't know the details. Some client's house, I think." I stormed back to my car, immediately pulling up Instagram to check Elise's profile. Nothing recent. I tried Connor again, straight to voicemail. This was beyond insulting. We were in the middle of the biggest fight of our marriage, and he was off with another woman, a prettier, more successful woman who shared his passion for design. When I got home, I did something I'd never done before. I went into his office and opened his laptop. What I found made my stomach turn. There were dozens of emails between Connor and the Seattle firm going back months. They'd been courting him since January, sending him project ideas, salary details, relocation packages. He'd responded enthusiastically, sending them portfolio pieces I'd never even seen. He'd been planning this without saying a word to me. And then there were the messages with Elise. Nothing inappropriate, nothing I could point to as evidence of anything beyond professional collaboration, but their easy rapport was obvious. She understood his design language, offered insightful suggestions, shared articles and inspiration photos. They had inside jokes. They had a connection. I sat back, a cold realization washing over me. Connor had built a whole life I knew nothing about: professional achievements, ambitions, connections. And why hadn't he shared it with me? Because I'd made it clear I didn't value any of it. Every time I dismissed his work as a hobby, compared him unfavorably to my friends' husbands, rolled my eyes at his enthusiasm, I'd been pushing him away without realizing it. No, this wasn't my fault. He should have talked to me. He should have made me understand how important it was. Instead, he just shut down, built his little secret world, and now was threatening to blow up our marriage over a stupid joke. By the time Connor came home that evening, I'd worked myself back into righteous anger. He found me sitting at the kitchen table, his laptop open in front of me. "You went through my computer?" His voice was quiet, dangerous. "You've been hiding things from me," I countered. "Seattle. Elise. Were you ever going to tell me, or were you just going to disappear one day? I tried telling you about Seattle last night, if you remember. As for Elise, she's a colleague, nothing more. A colleague you spend more time with than your wife. A colleague who gets to see the real you, while I get the leftovers." Connor looked at me with something like pity. "You don't want the real me, Jada. You've made that perfectly clear. You want someone who makes more money, who has a real career, who can compete with your friends' husbands. That's not me. I'm taking the job in Seattle," he said quietly. "I signed the contract today." The world seemed to tilt beneath me. What? Without even discussing it with me? What's there to discuss? You don't respect what I do. You're embarrassed by me. Why would you want to move across the country for something you don't even value? You can't just decide this on your own. We're married. Are we? Because lately it feels like we're just two people who happen to share an address. He ran a hand through his hair, looking suddenly tired. "I don't want to fight, Jada, but I need to do this for me. And what about me? What am I supposed to do, just uproot my entire life?" "That's your decision. You can come with me," or the unspoken alternative hung between us like a physical presence. The weekend with my parents was excruciating. I had planned to tell them Connor was on a business trip, but he showed up Friday evening to help with dinner like nothing was wrong. He was perfectly charming, asking my dad about his golf game and complimenting my mom's new haircut. If my parents noticed the tension between us, they didn't mention it. It was during dessert that my mom casually asked, "So how's the furniture business going, Connor?" Before he could answer, I jumped in with a tight laugh. "Oh, still making tables that take months to finish and sell for less than they're worth." The silence that followed was deafening. I could feel Connor's eyes on me, but I refused to look at him. "Actually," he said after a moment, his voice steady, "I've been offered a position with Westbrook Design in Seattle. Lead furniture designer for their custom residential line." My mother's eyes widened. "Seattle? But that's so far away." "It's an incredible opportunity," Connor continued. "They're one of the top design firms in the country." "We haven't decided anything yet," I cut in sharply. "It's just an offer." "I've accepted the position," Connor corrected, finally looking at me. "The moving date is flexible, but I start in 6 weeks." My parents exchanged glances. My father cleared his throat. "And you'll be going too, Jada?" The question hung in the air. Connor said nothing, leaving me to answer. "We haven't figured that out yet," I managed, fighting back tears of humiliation. How dare he blindside me like this in front of my parents? That night, after they'd gone to the guest room, I confronted him in the kitchen.